Podcast is live. Where do you see where there's people?
Yeah, it says that it is live. I don't know. I think it might pop up. Not sure.
Like, can we see that?
But anyway, at least we finished the book today because
Shall we
that
start?
was a bit of a stress.
I know. I also finished today. I finished this morning. I was also stressed.
Yeah.
But I got it done, so it's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. I think we'll just give it like 10 more seconds, maybe.
Yeah. I took the book on like the bus, and I've never taken a physical book on the bus before.
Desperate time.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Okay, should we start?
Yep, sure.
Okay, hello. Welcome to our first ever live show of the Parabatai Book Club. I'm so happy you're watching and very happy. And thank you so much for reading with us this month. And just wanted to say this book club and this live show is a safe space and everyone is welcome, and we expect everyone to be kind and nice to each other in the comments. Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
And as I said, I'm Laia, and this is my co-host, Bianca. This way.
Hey, everyone. Hi, Graham.
Hi, Graham.
I'm so excited that you're all here with us today. Even I know like some of you have not read the book, but thank you for supporting us anyway. That really means a lot. And this book club started last year because Laia and I did a Shadowhunters quiz on her channel and we sucked at it. We were so bad and we're ashamed, like so ashamed at how much we forgot. And then we said we wanted to reread the books, and then we started the book club to reread them all together, and we thought we'd get a bunch of you guys to join.
And here we are.
Yeah.
I know, when we did that quiz, I was so ashamed because I always say I'm like the ultimate Shadowhunter fan. Like, I always tell people how much I love Shadowhunters, and I collect the whole book series. And then we did that quiz, and I just sucked. So,
yeah, and we did the Twilight one, and we did so much better in that, which was shocking.
I had also just read Twilight. Well, not just read, but like a few months prior, I had read Twilight. So, but I know to do better at Twilight than in Shadowhunters, that's embarrassing. So, okay, I'll introduce myself, say a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm Laia. My pronouns are she, her. And in my personal life, I work with children. I'm also a dancer, and most of my life is taken up by dancing. I love it so much. It's like my passion. And I also have way too many hobbies to keep track of and to ever have time for. So that's just something about myself. The first time I read Shadowhunters, I was 17 or 16 actually. It was like in the year that I was 16, turning 17. So
that's specific.
I'll just say 17. Well, my birthday's in July, so I don't know where in the year it fit. My birthday's like right in the middle, so I may have been 16, I may have been 17. Anyway, and I actually borrowed the books from Bianca for the first time to read them. She owned the Mortal Instruments series. None of the others. I think there was maybe like 2 or 3 you were missing, maybe.
I missed the final one in the Mortal Instruments, and then I had the first one in the Infernal Devices, I think, for some reason. I don't know.
I think you did. I think you gave me that book anyway.
Yeah.
And from there it was history. I fell in love with the books the first time I read them, and so thank you for borrowing them, lending them to me. And at the end, she said I could have all her Shadowhunter books, but there were only 2 left out of like all the books she had. There was 2, and all the rest have vanished.
They
just vanished. So I inherited 2 of them. Anyway, it is now also the only book series that I collect. So I have the whole collection on my shelf.
How many are there?
I have counted them actually. I have counted them, but I can't remember. I think, if I think about it, there's like
12,
17 maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's maybe about a year and a half worth of books to read if you read one every month.
18. Yeah, I think there's 18 now, and then 18. 2 more coming out this year. So it's going to be like 20, more than 20.
So I do have them all. I also have some extras like the Shadowhunter Codex and also the... Wait, this book has such a long name. An Illustrated History of Shadowhunters and Denizens of the Downworld. I also have that, which I love. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I should introduce myself, even though I think you guys know me, but I'm Bianca. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm Binx Thinx on the internet. I'm studying teaching now after doing IT for a very long time with Graham. And as you I read Shadowhunters for the first time in high school because Laia borrowed my copies. So I read the original trilogy. It started off as 3 books, and I thought that was it. I was like, cool, it's a trilogy. I enjoyed it. And then I walked into the shop and I saw there were similar covers, and I said, wait, I thought this was over. So then I bought the next 2 that she added onto the first trilogy. And I read them, and I got really bored. Fair enough. I got bored. And I don't think I finished the last book that I had. I think it's book number 5. I didn't finish it. I was just like, why is this going on? I didn't really get it. And then Laia loved the book so much, and I said, here, you can have them. You like them more than I do. I don't know if I'm going to read them again. So when I was moving, I just I couldn't help it, okay? It gets to a point, and I think Carmen can agree because she read them and she is currently refusing to reread them because she also got bored, and she doesn't believe me that publication order is the best way to read them.
Publication order matters.
It matters so much. Because then in Dubai, I wanted Laia to read my favorite books, which she did. She read Harry Potter.
This was a few years ago. Let's just state that.
Yeah, in 2017, I think.
I can't remember.
Right? Because the trilogy ends and then it doesn't make sense.
But then that's why the publication order matters, and you start reading another series before carrying on with the Mortal Instruments.
Yeah. So I ended up rereading it. I did some research and trying to see what books there are, because I found out somewhere online that there were more books than I originally thought. And then I was like, oh, this actually intertwines. They go together. I didn't know that. I didn't realize. And I don't think you'd read the Infernal Devices. You were just like, nah.
Well, we'll get to that when we read those books. But I can mention it now. I started the first one and DNF'd it back in high school.
Yeah, I also did that. But then I read it in publication order and it changed my life. And then I made Laia reread it in publication order as well. And it's just so cool because you find out how the world is linked through the different timelines and bloodlines and characters.
And
And
like family names that matter.
yeah, it's just so intricate how it's all intertwined. And it's just, you got to try it out, honestly. If you haven't tried it in publication order, you have not read Shadowhunters in the right way.
I mean, we all have our opinions.
True.
But no, I agree.
Okay, so let's get to the current book that we read, City of Bone.
Yes, City of Bones, which is number 1 in the Mortal Instruments series.
Yeah,
And
so
each series has a different name. It gets a bit confusing sometimes, but this is the Mortal Instruments series. Yes,
do you want to give some thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this book, it's always a nostalgic read for me. This was actually the 3rd time I have read it. So as I said, the first time was in high school. Then I did a reread where I read everything in publication order. And this was the 3rd time. So I actually have a very strange relationship with this book because I read it the first time. And then the second time I read it, I kind of had like ingrained in my head what I thought happened. And so many things happened differently to what I thought happened. Like I was so sure about how things happened and they just happened differently. So when I read it the second time, I was so confused. I actually, after I read it, I went and Googled, did they do a rewrite of this book to make it more like the TV show? Did they, like, was there a rewrite? Because I was 100% sure that the book was rewritten because I had remembered it so differently, which is really strange.
And we don't know if this is true because my copy that you read disappeared.
You actually make a good point there. I didn't even think about that. Because I actually said to Bianca the other day, I said, I actually think I read a copy of this book from another dimension or something. Not dimension, like an alternative reality. I think I read like an alternative reality copy of the book, which sounds ridiculous because I probably didn't. But I was so sure the book had been rewritten and I was so confused. But anyway, disappeared where? We don't know. That's a very good question. It's a very good question.
They're gone. Like I think how many? I think like 4 of them, maybe 3, 4, just disappeared.
I have one.
It went. I probably lent it to someone. Maybe the fairies took them away to rewrite them. I don't know, but they're gone. I can't find them.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go into what I thought happened differently? And even this time when I read it, I expected things to happen that way because it was so ingrained in my head, and then they happened differently, and I have to be like, oh, right, okay, this is not the same book I remember. So it's just small things, like when the Ravener demon came to Clary's apartment. In this book, she throws Jace's censer into the Ravener's mouth, right, to kill him. But in my version, she threw a TV remote into its mouth to kill him. So it's tiny little things like that. Also, when when Jace like followed Clary to the restaurant to that poetry reading where she went to with Simon, he wasn't in the restaurant with her because in this book he says something over her shoulder, and then Simon can't see him, but he's there in the cafe thingy.
I also remember that.
In my version, no, wait. So this is what happened in this book. In my version, he was standing outside the cafe and she was talking to Simon and she saw him outside the window and she was like, wait, hang on. And then she told Simon to like stay there, and then she left to meet Jace outside because she saw him outside.
I feel like that was in the movie.
Maybe. No, but it's ingrained in my head from the book, and the movie was so bad. I don't know. Anyway, it's just small things like that. And there's a few other things, but we don't have to get into them.
Yeah, I also remembered a bunch of things while I was reading that I was like picking up on things that were just weird. Like all of their transporting everywhere. They take a lot of public transport in New York.
They do.
And I don't get it. Like, you guys own an institute, you're protecting the world, and you can't buy a car.
No, and the LA Institute has a car. That's an amazing thing, but they do. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, I'm pretty sure in the rest of the books, in my memory, the way a Seraph Blade works is different to in the first book. That's why I thought the book had been rewritten to be more like the movie. Because in the first book, it starts off as like a cylinder, right? And then the blade shoots out. But I'm pretty sure in the rest of the books, it's already a blade, and they just make it come to life. Like they activate it. It doesn't shoot out of a cylinder. So that's why I thought the book had been rewritten, because it was different now in the first book than in the rest of the series. So I don't know.
I think sometimes what happens with debuts or the first book, they don't really have their world figured out yet. And that also happened with She Who Shall Not Be Named. The first book has a few things that when you get to the last books, it has a different name, it works differently, it has a whole purpose, and then you can't go back and rewrite the book.
One thing I did realize while reading this book is that everything is so new and the world is really not established, as established as it becomes. So maybe that's why the Seraph Blades work differently.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because in the other books, they just activate them. They don't shoot out of a cylinder.
Yeah, I also remember them just like it
lighting up, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yes. Okay, wait, let me see what else my notes say, because I have notes, otherwise I can't remember. Wait, I've said that the characters really grow throughout the book. Like I mentioned, the world is not established, it's really just the beginning, and it's also the very beginning of the characters. Like they're not fleshed out at all yet. But I really like them, and it's like a really cute like little beginning, a very good foundation to the rest of the series and the series. I don't know what else I wanted to say there. And it made me really excited to like be in this world again and read these books again and be in the Shadow World, be part of it, because it's like such a big part of me and what I love.
Me too. Yeah. I also have those feels.
Yeah.
Let me see what I wrote for general thoughts. I really liked reading it. I love rereading books in general. I know some people hate rereading or rewatching things. They can't do it. Like my mom, she refuses. She's like one
rereading.
And it's a comforting feeling going back to something because you already know what's going to happen. So I think there's some science about it as well. So yeah. I also like wrote a bit about the transport, and it was it felt a bit like Clary was new to the Shadow World, but it also kind of felt like the other characters were new to it as well. Like they didn't know who Magnus Bane was, and he's the chief warlock of New York. You know, they were like, who's this guy? When I would feel like they should know.
That's very true.
And
but I guess it was just a way of introducing him. But he could have been introduced differently, but because otherwise Alec would have known who he was, and the whole point was that Alec, I don't know.
I think in the movie and the show they do make it so that they know who he is and like say, and they use Clary as explaining the world to the reader, which makes sense.
Well, they did that as well in the book, and I felt like they did it a lot, like to an extreme extent. I was like, okay, why is all this information being thrown at me? Because they were hardly like talking; they were just like fact in the like first quarter of the book.
Yeah, it's a lot of world building, and it's a bit dry, that first part, because the first book is split into 3 parts. So the first part is a lot of world building and Clary being very surprised. Have we really explained this to people who don't know what this book is about? Maybe we should just give like a little
Well, this
explanation.
live show is for people who know who
I don't know, but you know. So
okay, go ahead.
the Shadowhunters fight demons, and there's a girl who is a Shadowhunter, but she doesn't know it, and then she meets some in a club, and then she's introduced to this world, basically. So she is meant to not know what's going on, but the other ones have been Shadowhunters their whole lives. So we expect them to know what's up and not be like, who's this guy? And there's a big bad guy called Valentine, and he did bad things in the past. And I just found it quite unrealistic that the existing Shadowhunters wouldn't know what he looks like.
And
Like
also
they,
what he did.
yeah,
They all
they
know about the uprising, but not the very like details. Or maybe
yeah,
they do, and we just learned the details when Luke told Clary about them.
it just didn't come across that way that they knew what was going on, because the big plot point with Jace, which I'll leave for later, but you would think that he would know more about things, and he reads so much. They stated so much in the book how much Jace reads that you'd think he would come across this thing. Hi, Nora. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts, if you have read the books, about the believability of them not knowing what's going on for a little while, I guess? I also wrote a bit here about, I liked Clary's perspective. I'm someone who really likes a likable main character, and I feel like Clary was likable, especially for the target audience, young adults. I really related to Clary a lot when I first read the books, and that's why I liked it. And I do have a soft spot for Jace, even though a lot of his behavior in this book is a little bit toxic. Like,
yes. I actually made a point about this in my notes, is that I forgot how like arrogant and what's the word, like full of himself Jace is in this book. Like I completely forgot, because I obviously know, yes, Mortal Instruments. I obviously know what Jace becomes, and then to go back to this first book and see his behavior was actually a bit shocking. And I also have the same feeling about Clary, even though you said she was likable. She actually surprised me as well with how rude she was to Jace in the beginning.
yeah.
She was quite rude to Jace. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. She was like quite rude to Jace, and that when she slapped him through the face, I was like, okay, what's that about? You know? Yeah. So, like we said, their characters weren't fleshed out yet. So.
I did realize it's Hamda, but I didn't know if you wanted me to say. But hi, Hamda. Have you read the books? We've never really spoken about it, but do tell us if you have read the book.
Yes, we're talking about the book.
Yeah. Oh, and I agree with what you said about Jace, but I did like Simon in this more than I remember liking Simon. I didn't really remember him being as assertive as he was. He's not like in the book that much, but when he is, he puts himself out there, which I really liked, and I don't remember liking that before.
Okay, interesting. I kind of have the opposite opinion about Simon. I
Okay.
find him quite annoying, actually. I found him quite annoying because I don't actually remember why. Why? I don't know, just like the way he spoke, and I don't know. But I also get that he was like the comic relief. He's basically the comic relief of the story, which is necessary.
I feel like
Clary.
Sorry.
I also liked him more toward the end of the book. It was more the beginning. I think all the characters were a bit annoying in the beginning, and then better toward the end. But yes, what were you gonna say? Oh, you've read the series. That's awesome.
That is really cool. What did you think of it? do tell us. And I kind of hated Alec a little bit. His behavior wasn't great.
None of their behavior was great.
Wasn't. They're not really who they are yet.
No, not at all. But I mean, especially Alec, because he's like hiding himself from everyone around him. So.
And I remember hating him a lot in the beginning. But we all know that he changes.
Yes. Which we'll get into.
I also found it cool that they mentioned a couple of books, and I don't remember this before, but she mentions books that they're reading or that Clary read, and I noted them down, like The Golden Bough and The Chronicles of Prydain, which I've been wanting to read for ages, and I have no recollection of them being mentioned before. And one of the books in that series is what The Black Cauldron is based on, which is that really obscure Disney movie that most people probably haven't watched.
No.
But I think they're both kind of also like fantasy fairy-ish worlds. And I like when authors have references to things, because then you can kind of see where they got their inspiration from. And I didn't know that she had this as her inspiration, or things that she would want to reference in this story.
I don't think I picked up on that.
Yeah, I think because I've been reading so much, I've been like keeping my eye for any like book things lately.
Maybe.
And I also found out, because I was reading it to make notes, I also approached it more with a writer mindset and less of a reader. So I noticed some of the more kind of technical things that she did really well. And like I said, I think it was her debut, she wrote a really, really good book.
I think so too. Like, I mean, look where she is now.
Exactly.
So, yeah, she's a really, really good writer. I'll give her that. And yes, reading a book with the intent of not criticizing, but evaluating, analyzing it. You do read it differently.
And I enjoyed the experience. I haven't done that since school, really. And I also never had to think about things myself, because at school they give you the questions and things to talk about, and this we had to come up with it ourselves. And I really enjoyed the experience, and I definitely do recommend it. And I can see why a lot of booktubers now are annotating their books and making notes as they go, because it really adds to your experience, and you really think about everything in different ways. So I understand it now after trying it.
But also annotating, like, yes, it's a different experience, but I feel like for me sometimes that takes away from just the joy of reading, because of the mindset. It's like not a relaxing thing anymore, like a fun thing. It's like this academic thing.
Yeah, it becomes more of an active experience and less passive. So, but anyway.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay. Do you want to talk about some of our favorite parts of the book?
I just wanted to mention one other thing that I not forgot about, but it was so nice to read again. It's like they like phrases that they have, like when they say "by the angel," like when Clary made Jace angry, he was like, "By the angel, Clary," and I just love that. I think it's so cool that they have like those phrases.
I really like when books do that as well. And there was some really good quotes as well. I took pictures as I was going of some of the pages, because I don't have time to type out all the quotes, but later I do want to go and write them out, because I forgot how witty some of the things are. Like, what did you say? I think there was something in Latin, and Clary asked what it meant, and he was just, "Shadowhunters looking better in black than the widows of their enemies since
like some year." Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
And then the silent brother was like, "That's not what it says."
Yeah.
That was really funny. But that's just Jace as well. Like, Jace just has like these comebacks
all the time. And people do talk about how these books were originally based off of a fan fiction that Cassie wrote. And he does make me think of Draco, and like how he would react to things is very typical of how fan fiction Draco would react. Like how in that scene where they're in the hallway and then Simon comes in and then Jace just totally shuts down. It just, yeah.
Wait, what's that again? When they're in the hallway?
Yeah, when they were...
and Simon. Yes, I'm with you.
Jace gets just really mean for no reason. And
well,
to me, it didn't seem like Jace. I get that there is a reason, but it didn't feel like it was Jace, because I don't remember him being that kind of person.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I said like they're all like really kind of mean people in the beginning, and they all change.
Yeah.
So okay,
but, yeah,
I'll mention some of my favorite parts of the book.
Okay.
Okay, so definitely my top favorite part of the book was only very tiny, like a tiny part of it, and that is when Magnus and Alex saw each other for the first time at the party, and I was just like, oh, that's so cute, you know. And you know when they're leaving and Magnus is like, call me to Alex. Oh, that was just so cute, and I just love that, especially because I know where their relationship is going, and to see like the beginnings of this, and also to know what happened in between the first and the second book that we don't see yet, but we see later. Like just knowing that that's kind of busy happening in the background while we don't even know about it. Like I love it. It's so cute.
Yeah, they're very cute.
And then also another one of my favorite moments was when Simon shot out the skylight. Like, go Simon. Like he was the brains of that whole thing. Like, imagine if he wasn't there.
And remember in the Shadowhunters quiz when we were talking about the camp he went to and stuff? That's why I remember it, because of that moment when he just took Alex's bow and arrow, and it was just such an iconic moment for me.
It is. Like, I had forgotten about that moment. Like, I completely forgot it happened. So, but yes, it's like really iconic.
Yeah. I really liked the scenes in the greenhouse. And I don't know, I just was loving the greenhouse vibes, and I was visualizing it a lot more than I did before, or that I can remember. And whenever they'd go outside somewhere, and I've been to New York, and New York is kind of ugly outside, but the way they described the greenhouse, I was just like, go back there. Just
also, you know what I love about the greenhouse is when they went at night and they described what the stars look like outside. Like,
and the flower blooming, it was just beautiful. And I liked Jace and his banter. I forgot like how much he just like is Jace, and I love him.
I know.
That's
Jace is Jace.
Yeah.
But I know I'm kind of like conflicted about him in this particular book. But yeah.
I expected more things to happen, and like you said about Magnus, for some reason I expected them to go to Magnus sooner, and in my mind he was there a lot more than he was in this book.
He wasn't there. He was only there once. Like twice. Well, like once at the party and once when Jace and Clary went back to ask him where Simon was. But he wasn't there at all otherwise, which is like really strange. Because if anyone is unaware, Magnus is my favorite character, and I love him. And I always say a Shadowhunter book is not a Shadowhunter book without Magnus Bane, and I stand by that. So to see him there very seldomly was strange.
Yeah, it was really an odd experience.
So cool,
And I still
But
don't
you-
believe that they didn't know who he was. Like, everyone
No.
needs to know who Magnus Bane is.
Yeah.
And when Clary heard of his name, she was like, "What?
What's
That's
a
not a
Magnus?
name.
It's like, what's
What
a
is
Magnus?
It was so
No, but you know what I really loved about Magnus? When they entered his apartment and described what he looked like. Because you kind of lose that description they give. But the spiky hair standing up, the raccoon makeup over his eyes, he had blue lipstick on. in that introductory scene where you meet him, he had blue lipstick on. And like this.
yeah,
Iconic.
he's an
And then-
icon. But now that you bring up how they were describing people, I did notice that sometimes she would just say they're Asian, and I was like,
Magnus, but she did say that with Magnus. She was like Asian and the spiky
Yeah,
hair,
she said
raccoon
that
makeup and blue lipstick.
and with Lily, she just
Oh.
described them as Asian, and then their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But
that does change later on. She does clarify where Magnus is from. But then also another thing with Magnus and that party, when they entered his room and he had more makeup and glitter on his table than Isabel did. I love that. That was funny. Because Isabel...
Yeah. And was his cat a kitten? Is Chairman Mao a kitten?
No, he's just small.
Okay.
He's just small.
Okay.
They said he looks like a rat or something.
Yeah, I think that his ears are shaped like round and not pointy. That's the image I got. It said he had kind of like mouse ears or something.
I'll have to check my book, the picture.
And because we just got a tabby, I kept thinking of Percy when they were speaking.
Chairman Meow is not a tabby. They do say tabby cat, but the way they describe him, he doesn't look like one. He's just white with one random stripe or something, like a brown stripe.
I guess I can't remember. I just remember they said tabby.
I did say that, but then the way they described it was a bit different.
And the other cat is a blue Persian. They said
I know,
it twice.
I read that this time. But there was no way I was going to remember, because I just have this photographic memory. So I have a photo of a grey cat with a flat face in my head, you know? Yeah.
What about some things that I didn't like?
Yes, my least favorite parts. There weren't many, other than what I've said, how mean the characters are. I wrote one of my least favorite parts was how Clary was towards Jace at the beginning. She was pretty mean to him. And he saved her life, and she was not very grateful, I don't think. She said she was, but she didn't very act like it. And as I've actually mentioned before, when she slapped him through the face, I thought that was a bit unnecessary.
But to be fair, he could have killed her. He really could have.
He could have killed her, but he didn't.
I know, but he didn't, but he could have, and that's the thing. I also was thinking how that interaction was, if somebody did that to me, I would probably also slap them. Being who I am now, maybe not 16-year-old me, but if you tell me 10 minutes later that this thing that you did had a 50-50 shot of me dying.
He did say he was 90% sure.
But still, he was guessing so hardcore.
10%.
Yeah, he does not make good decisions in this book, which made me a bit sad.
Okay, and then another thing I said here is a bit of criticism is that I felt like there was not really much lead up to romance, to the romance between Jace and Clary. And I don't know if I'm justified in that opinion, but they were just mean, and then suddenly they were kissing. Where was the lead up to this whole
banter with a lot of sexual tension? That was straight up banter, and that is.
I just didn't feel like there was that much, lead up to it. It was just very sudden.
I disagree. I thought there was a lot. Okay. She thought about him a lot, and the way he reacted to things was that you could see he cared about
like they were
her.
very active. Yeah.
Yeah. And he just invited this random girl that he met in the club to the institute, you know.
Okay, well, she wasn't that random because she was the only one there that could see them and they were glamored. So, not that random.
But there are mundanes. Oh, I also didn't remember them saying Mondays as much as they did, saying it a lot. And it sounded really derogatory, and I didn't like that. But anyways.
But what was really cute for me was that because I read We Jace Clary Christmas, which is like a collection of short stories that Cassandra Clare released, and we see that beginning scene in the club from Jace's perspective, and I really like that because Jace already saw her outside the club, like they weren't inside the club yet. She was still queuing up, and he was already looking at her. So she wasn't like that completely random. He already had his eyes on her. So, and when she came into that storage room, Jace described it as her seeing him, like looking through him, like looking through his front that he puts up and everything.
Yeah, I like reading things from Jace's perspective because it's so completely different to what he puts out. And when I was a bit irritated with him in the first book, then at the end of the edition that I have, there is one of those stories where one of the scenes from the book is from his perspective in the garden. And then I just was like, let me just hug Jace, please, this poor child.
But because we all know why he is the way he is. It's like a protection mechanism. Like he's like protecting himself because
he didn't have the best
how hurt he was in his
home life growing up. I do have a bit of a criticism about the incest plot device that is used because it puts so many people off from reading the books, and they stop after the first one, or they don't read it because they hear about it and they're like, we're not here for that. But
like
when I read the book originally the first time, that didn't put me off because all of this information is coming from the villain in the story and nothing else is really backing it up. There's not a ton of facts. They mention there's a lot of dead bodies that's been found, but clearly the Shadowhunters don't have DNA testing because they don't know who the dead bodies are. There's just bodies, and then people keep turning up that they thought were dead that are alive. And
I know, and that's also something I realized now, like knowing what happened and rereading the book, is how obvious it is that they are not actually related, because there are so many hints that like Cassandra Clare drops, and that's one spoiler I don't mind giving. Like whenever someone asks me, is there actually incest, I don't mind saying no because I don't want to put them off the book. And if you actually like pay attention to the detail in this first book, she gives so many hints that it's not real, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like she makes it kind of obvious. And Clary even thinks to herself, how can we be related? Or like, how can he be my brother if we look nothing alike?
Exactly.
Even she thinks that. And they obviously look nothing alike. But,
and often in books, when people do find out that they're related to people, they'll say like, oh, he has my eyes, or like they'll notice things and they'll pick it up, and that was never a thing in the books, and the way that they're described is totally different.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's all the criticism I really had, other than in the time it was written a long time ago, so obviously it's a product of its time and it can't really be compared to her latest work.
We actually discussed this a bit earlier, if you don't mind me saying. Like because of the whole thing in the booktube community about books only having white characters and no like people of color. This book was written in 2007, and I think Cassandra Clare made a very big statement for her time by having two of the main characters be gay, and like that was a big thing in 2007.
Yeah.
So, and that's also why I really love her later books, because there's so much representation that is not in the earlier books, in the first books.
And even just Simon being Jewish, I'd never seen a Jewish character in a book before then.
That's true, but they don't emphasize it that much in this book. Only later, when I'm not going to say because that would be a spoiler, but only later it becomes really a plot point. But yes, and her later books, and that's what I want to say. Like, I really commend Cassandra Clare because she really like what's the word? Keeps to the times. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Like, she stays current. She evolves. Like, if there's a criticism, she evolves. You know.
Yeah, like I read this before Game of Thrones, so I didn't have that experience, but I can see why you would. But yeah, no, they're not related. So
no.
If people want to criticize someone, they should go after, what is his name? George R.R. Martin? Yeah, go after him, because yeah, Game of Thrones is a lot of bad things, pretty much. Anyway.
I've never watched Game of Thrones. So okay, should we get into some Goodreads comments?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm really, really grateful that so many people joined on the social media, especially the Goodreads, and that people have been interacting there. I don't know if anyone from there is here right now, but if you are here in future, thank you so much.
Yes, we really appreciate all the support we've gotten on social media. So, yes. Okay, so for the Goodreads comments, I firstly want to say thank you so much for Rachel and Andrew specifically for being so active in our Goodreads chat. Like, their names kept recurring. So thank you so much. And I know I need to be more active there, but I already read this book a bit last minute, so it wasn't
both of us said that we were going to wait until the last week so that it's fresh in our minds, and then a lot of stuff happened this week that was unexpected, so I didn't have the time that I thought I was going to have. So next month we're going to start a bit earlier.
Definitely. And I did not expect this week to go as fast as it did, and I was like, normally my average pace for finishing a book is like 4 days, and it did not take me 4 days. And I've basically been reading for the past 2 days, been reading straight. Like, that's all I've been doing. I've literally thrown all my other responsibilities out the window and just been reading so I could finish the book in time.
Sounds like me in high school.
This week was just busy and went very fast.
So it did.
Hopefully next month we'll be able to interact more on Goodreads when we actually read the book earlier.
And we do have a Discord that we are trying to start up. So we will let you guys know if that picks up. But if you want to now join that, feel free just to chat. I think I'll also add a few non-bookish focused threads in the Discord if you guys just want to chat about life things. That would be fun too.
And we'll try to leave the links to everything.
Yeah, I will. I think I can go and edit the description after this ends. And then I'll add all of the links down there.
Yes. Okay, so our first comment was from Andrew, and he said, I'm loving rediscovering this world. It's one of my favorite literary worlds, and I'm so thankful you guys have got me back into it, which is so cool. And I'm so happy I'm getting back into it too. So that's really exciting. And means so much to me that someone would say that and join our book club. So cool.
And then we have one from Rachel. I read it years ago and realized there was a lot that I forgot. Same, honestly.
Same here.
I watched the TV series recently and thought for sure Luke was a cop in the books too. I also had that experience. Honestly, I was shocked when he wasn't a cop. This will be good to remind me what's canon in the books versus the TV show. I think the scene where Simon learned about the Shadow World was hilarious. He did not react like I expected. Instead of being shocked by it all, he was excited to learn about it and jumped right in to help Jace and Clary, which I think that's a really, really good point. And
I agree, because Simon could have been like, what? You're talking nonsense. This does not exist. He really could have been like that, but he wasn't.
I think that also showed how much he cares about Clary, that he would believe her, even when she was taking him to these random locations with a random guy. And he just went along with it, probably feeling protective over her. And that's also why I liked Simon a lot more.
But he was also a bit jealous. Let's not forget that.
But that's understandable, even even if he didn't have a crush on her, friends are still protective of each other and jealous. Like you and I, even if we make new friends, we have to reassure each other sometimes that you're still my best friend.
You're
it's
still
fine.
my person.
Yeah, exactly. So I get it.
But they also made a very big point of how jealous Simon was. Like it was a big plot point.
Yeah.
Like his jealousy was very much part of the story, which ended up not too bad actually. Like I think they ended up in a good situation, like considering how he felt about everything.
I think so.
Like they had a fight about it, but Simon just came right back for her when she called, when she needed, and he was there for her when she needed it.
Yeah.
So, okay, then Andrew said, Simon is and always will be my favorite character in this entire series. He is hilarious. Whenever I read the books for the first time, I always imagined him as Nathan from Misfits, a British TV show, which I have not seen. And then when they made the movie, they cast the actor that played him as Simon, and I was gobsmacked. That's really cool. Like, I wouldn't have known that, but that fact is pretty cool.
That is cool. And I have been told to watch Misfits before by some friends, and I started a long time ago, but this reminded me that I need to actually go back and watch it again. And I did like Simon in the movie, actually. I liked Clary and I liked Simon. I didn't like the other people that much in the movie. Maybe it's a bit of a train wreck, but I did like those two in the movie.
You can get into the movie and the TV series. I have opinions.
True.
Okay, you want to read the next one from Rachel?
Yeah. Then Rachel said, I think all the characters really end up growing throughout the books. Clary is just starting to find her way and figure out who she is. I like her conversation with Simon after the greater demon attack while getting the cup on page 362. Fighting demons is what they do, not what you do. What do I do, Simon?
Yeah. I agree, and I think that's what we also said earlier, that the characters are still growing and they have not established themselves yet. And there's so much potential. And I'm going to read the last comment quickly because Verona from The Read says, I adore Simon. So we really have a lot of Simon lovers. Like, I think everyone just loves Simon. Yeah. I don't think he's either of our favorite characters. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't really feel like I had a favorite character in this book. I can't say that from reading it, what it was, I don't feel like I have a favorite because they're all just little babies and they're not themselves yet. I don't feel like who they are. But I do agree that I liked Simon a lot more than I remember because me, as a 16-year-old reading it, I loved Jace with Clary, so I was just like, stay away. This is not happening. So I didn't like Simon because of that. But being older and, more life experience, I really appreciate who Simon is and how he treats Clary.
I agree. But I'm kind of shocked that like so many people love Simon so much, because from my experience, everyone is like always all about Jace.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
I was also shocked at how little Isabel was in the book. Like she wasn't there very often. I was kind of shocked at that.
She was just bad cooking.
I always really loved Isabel, and in this first book, I was like confused. Like she's not really there. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have questions. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
We had a couple of questions that Laia thought up while we were reading. So she wanted to ask, who's your favorite couple? And if you have read it, do tell us in the comments as well who your favorite couple is.
Do tell us.
Yeah, but I kind of felt that there wasn't any real established couples in this book, but later we do know that they start pairing off. Yes. But I was eyeing Simon and Isabel in this book. That was who I was actually keeping my eye on in this book.
Yeah, I agree. I actually thought about this when I read this question again, and they aren't really couples in this book. Like everyone's just kind of meeting each other at the moment, so they aren't really couples. But I know Simon did everything with Isabel to make Clary jealous, but did he? Like I think his reactions were pretty genuine. You know.
And I don't think that Simon is the type of guy to do that. I didn't like when he said that he dated other girls as practice. That seemed really out of character for me. And I think that was just Cassandra Clare trying to push Simon as a potential love interest by making it extra obvious that he had a crush on Clary.
But I also feel like him being like that is very much influenced by his friends from his band.
Yeah.
Like Eric and I can't remember the other one's name. Eric and something.
I don't remember.
They weren't really part of the book, but
no, they never showed up. Just the banana van.
The van. I forgot that the van looked like. What did Jace call it? Like a rotting banana or something.
Yeah.
A half-peeled banana or something like that. He called it some kind of banana. Like a peeling. I don't know. But that was quite funny. But like I said, I think him being the way he was very much influenced by his band members. Because they seemed like those type of people.
Maybe.
Okay, the next question is, do you ship Clary with Jace or with Simon?
I personally have never shipped Simon with Clary, like ever in my life. Never shipped it. Not a thing. So even if I didn't like Jace a lot in this book, by default, I would have shipped Clary with Jace. And I don't think that there always needs to be like the best friend getting feelings and then not being friends. So I like that when he did tell her that he had feelings, that they stayed friends. And I also don't always think that friend dynamics translate well into romantic dynamics. Like they're really good friends together, but I don't think they would be good dating.
Well, they do kind of explore that a bit later books, and we see it doesn't work. But I agree, and I agree with you. I would have automatically shipped her with Jace just because of all the knowledge we have, and because I know what they are like now in their 20s. I know what they're like, and it does make a difference. But the reason I wanted to ask is because of how kind of unlikable Jace was in this book, and how close she was with Simon, and that Simon cared for her so much.
Yeah, that makes sense. And she did have some of those possessive, protective moments with Simon as well. Like, you can see that she genuinely cares about him. But I never felt that Clary was in love with him.
Oh no,
So,
she never was. Never.
yeah. Okay, so I think we're on the same boat with that. Then what part of the downworld would you like to be a part of? What would you want to do?
Okay, so I was also thinking about this, obviously. In this book, you really only see werewolves. It's like really only, and vampires, sorry, and vampires. So werewolves and vampires are the only part of downworld you see in this book. So if I
They're
had to answer, fairies aren't really
in the bar, they're a little bit there, but they don't go into it much.
but they're no, like they don't, like in the following books they actually go to fairy,
Yeah.
so then you kind of see more. But so if I were to answer from this book's knowledge alone, I don't know if I would have an answer, because I wouldn't want to be a vampire and I wouldn't want to be a werewolf. But just from kind of my knowledge of everything, I know I would want to be a warlock. Warlocks are just my favorite part of the book, and I love them so much. Magnus, Tessa is one of my other favorite characters, and she's a warlock, and Katarina Loss, and I just love all the warlocks. I would definitely be a warlock.
I could have guessed that. Personally, I, as a human being, have always wanted to be a fairy or a witch. And I know there aren't like proper witches in this universe. So in Shadowhunters, the witches are humans who teach themselves magic, and then the people with actual magic is warlocks. So I agree with you. They didn't really feature much in this book, but just who I am as a person, I would always automatically want to either be a fairy or a warlock. But I think that warlocks have a really lonely time, and I don't know if I would be able to do that. So canceling
but
all
warlocks also very much have each other.
They
Like,
do, but they don't always see each other often, you know? They're very like once in 10 years we meet up, and from experience, I don't handle that the best.
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Like I can counter your argument saying I wouldn't want to be a fairy because fairies are evil. They're kind of evil.
I
And
don't see
like
that as like a bad thing for me though.
I don't, because they have to tell the truth, but they tell the truth in a way where they twist it so much that they're actually lying, but fairies can't lie. And they, Jace did actually, or someone mentioned it in this book, he said something about fairies not really being good people.
That I think that's also a lot of the prejudice that they have against downworlders in general. That showed up quite a lot in this book, how they would talk about the downworlders. It wasn't very positive, and everything was kind of them being on the offense and expecting them to be attacked most of the time.
I feel like that's because they haven't really had much interaction with him, and I feel like Clary being with Luke being her, what can you call her, stepfather, her father figure. Clary and Luke are very much like the catalyst of the Shadowhunters forming and making peace with the Downworlders and becoming friends with them and working with them.
Yeah, it's quite a catalyst for everything that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I would still be a fairy. I can't lie anyways. I'm a very bad liar. You can ask my mom and my sister. So
I'm not insinuating that you lie. I'm just.
I know
that they, even though they can't lie, they still lie because they're not good, like inherently. And I don't know, the Sealy Queen, so evil, but then later on with that fairy from the Wild Hunt. I forgot his name right now because it's not in this book that we're discussing, but
With G something.
Mark's boyfriend. With the midnight blue hair. I forgot his name. Doesn't matter right now.
We'll get there next year, maybe.
They are good fairies.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, then the last question is, how do you think the characters developed during the book? And I think we have kind of spoken about this throughout the live show. Like, they grow a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. And I picked up on the book being split up intentionally to show that as well. And you kind of saw in the different stages how they were changing and learning. Not as much as I thought they did, but they did make a lot of progress.
Yeah. I know. I also thought they made more progress because I guess I thought more happened in the first book, and I didn't realize everything I thought happened were only in the next books. The first book was very short and not actually a lot happened if you look back on it. But they did really grow, especially Clary, I feel like. Well, obviously, because she started off as someone not even knowing that the shadow world existed.
I agree. And even just seeing at the end Isabel and Clary saying that, they need more female friends was a cool thing to see, because they were kind of opposites in the beginning and not really knowing how to be around each other. So just that little interaction was really cool to see. Yeah, and Simon and Alec, they also had some development as well. Like, especially Alec changed a lot from his interactions at the beginning to the end.
Yes, which I get. Like, I completely get why he was like he was and why he changed. He's just learning to trust still. He doesn't trust anyone yet.
Yeah.
It happens. Yes.
Okay, so I think that's all that we really prepared. I don't know if you guys have some more questions for us that you wanted to talk about. Let us know in the chat.
Yes. And while we wait for that, we can mention the movie and the TV show quickly.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I think that the TV show and the movie, but the TV show really, is the worst adaptation of anything I've ever seen in my whole life. And I absolutely hate that they made a TV show. I feel very passionately about this because when people watch the TV show, they will think that is what Shadowhunters is, and they will think that is what Shadowhunters is like. And I just hate that people will have that opinion because the show is so bad. It's honestly just horrible, and I just hate thinking that people think that that is what Shadowhunters is, when in reality, it's not.
Yeah, I agree. The acting and the writing in the show isn't good. The movie could have been better, but I do like the movie a bit more than I liked.
I remember seeing it like many years ago and hating it. Like, I remember just hating it. Like, when the TV show wasn't even being spoken about yet, I already hated the movie. And then
because at the time, everything like Twilight, Hunger Games, those were there, and I didn't love the Twilight movies, but they were still better than the City of Bones adaptation. And when I heard they were making a show, I was so excited, because when you redo something that sucked, you're meant to do it better, but they really didn't.
They did it worse.
Yeah.
I tried watching it. I really tried, and I only got halfway into the second episode, and then I gave up. Like, I couldn't. I really just couldn't. Like, everything was different. Like, even the institute, the way that people were, like, everything was different.
They tried making it really high tech, from what I remember.
I know. And they walk into the institute, and it's like this sci-fi-esque high tech place, and it's actually meant to be like an old building.
Yeah. they're meant to be more medieval in how they are, not
Mhm.
futuristic.
Mhm.
It was
Because
really
they
weird.
like don't even keep up with the mundane culture, you know. So they don't
Mhm.
even know about TV shows. They don't know about video games. They don't know about technology because um, that is just who they are. They're like behind in the times.
Thanks for joining us, guys. If you don't have any more questions, if you have opinions on the movie or the show, if you've watched it,
Okay. I was gonna say something about the show, but it might be a spoiler. But it didn't even happen. So I saw like this video clip on Twitter. I think I saw it of um, Alec marrying some random woman, and I was like, "Who the hell is this? And why are they getting married? Because he doesn't marry anyone in the
yeah,
books."
I think that was trying to force him to
And
be
then
himself.
when Magnus storming into the wedding, like that doesn't happen. And I was so mad when I saw that. I was like, that just doesn't happen. Magnus doesn't storm into a fake wedding, you know, saving him. Like their love story actually happens organically. It's not forced. So yeah, that just the
Oh,
show is not for me.
they tried being very dramatic in it, and the casting wasn't great. I do like the Jace actor, but that's all. Even the Isabel and Alec are meant to be siblings who grow up together, but they have completely different accents, and it makes no sense.
Oh my word. Okay.
That is the
That
thing that bugs me the most about that show is that they have
yeah,
different accents.
that doesn't. I just
Yeah.
can't watch it. I just can't do it to myself because I just love the books too much. Love them too much. Okay, shall we end this?
Yeah, I think we can start wrapping up. But thank you all really,
Okay.
really for joining us. Really
Yes,
appreciate it.
thank you so much. And like we said earlier, we really appreciate all the support we've been getting on, especially Instagram. Actually, like we've quite gained quite a lot of followers there, and on Goodreads as well. So thank you so much for everyone who supported us and has joined the live. I mean, not the live, the book club and reading. And I've really loved seeing people read the books and post about reading the books. And it feels so cool because I'm like, wow, that's mine. Like, that's my thing they're posting about. So it just feels
Right?
really, really cool. And like, I really appreciate it.
Me too. Makes my heart feel really warm inside, especially when the first person posted a picture and tagged us. I was like, oh my goodness.
That's so cool. And people mentioning us in comments saying, here's the book club I was talking about. And I mean, just so cool and it means so much. Like this is
Yeah.
really
I've
cool. And
wanted to I've wanted to have a book club for a very, very long time, but I was always too scared to do it. So I'm very happy that we decided to do it this year. And it's a really
yeah,
fun thing to do together.
kind of like a dream come true. And we do consider ourselves each other's like Parabatai. So like that's where the name comes from and it's just really cool. And we read so many books together anyway. And if we weren't doing this live show, like we anyway discuss books together, not in this much detail. Usually we don't make notes to talk to each other, but we do discuss books with each other. So this is just kind of natural for us. It's what we would do anyway. So
Exactly.
really cool.
So I really like that we can share it with you. And next month we are going to be reading City of Ashes, which is book 2 in the Mortal Instruments series. So if you would like to join us for next month, that would be great. And if you aren't following us yet, I will add all of the links down below. But we are at the Parabatai BC on social media. And yeah, if you join us there, you won't miss out on discussions and announcements. And if you do follow both of us on YouTube, hit the bell icon so that you will be notified when we do go live again. And yeah, we will see you next
and
time.
yes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, join us for book 2, Graham. Okay, you still have time to read book 1. You guys, you have time next month if you want to read both and catch up with us. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.